Hello everyone. If you would like to have a strong, flexible, pain-free pelvic floor and pelvic ring in general, then it's really important to pay attention to the ligaments and fascias of the pelvis. If we look at this model here, we see the bones and also they're of course plastic. We don't see any of the fascia and we don't see any of the ligaments. It might be easy enough to visualize a floor down here made of muscles, but if we look at the actual ligaments, it is rather more complex. And some of these ligaments are very, very, very important for force absorption. In other words, for dealing with forces in daily life and exercise and sports. And if these ligaments cannot deal effectively with forces, then often that will cause pain. Down here we have a very important ligament called the sacrotuberous ligament. We have the sacrospinous ligament right through here. And we also have the iliolumbar ligaments up here. And they are super important, often neglected. And what we need to consider is that ligaments don't just go from bone to bone, as we see in this model. They actually merge into the bone. So ligaments are made of collagen. And literally the collagen fibers continue within the bone on both sides. So this is one continuous network here of collagen. And often when we have issues with the pelvis and pelvic floor and with pain in the lower back, it's about the ligaments and especially how the collagen fibers, which are these little biological wires that hold things together and, transfer forces, how they are structured, and also even the bone and how it is structured itself. So a first exercise to embody this is to, for once, not imagine a bone being a bone, like made of plastic or something really hard, but let's imagine the pelvis to be like a sponge, so that when we move, the pelvis has some give and some resilience, which is actually very scientific. The bones actually move a little bit to absorb force. Yes, they do that. It's not even just the joints, it's also the bone. So put your hands on your pelvis, on your imaginary pelvis as a sponge, like that on both sides. The easiest way to do that is just take your hands like this, put them on the side here of your waist, and then go down until you feel, the muscle is over with and there's a pelvic bone there. So you see like that? Then I'm gonna bend my legs and I'm actually gonna push in a little bit as if I'm pushing against a sponge, sort of like this, pushing against a sponge, and then I come up and I release again. So sort of thinking of the pelvis moving, changing its shape a little bit as we flex and extend our legs. If you want, you can even do that a little faster. So you bounce up and down like that, and you push in and release out. You can also think of a spring as if you want, so pushing on a spring. So in and out, in and out. Excellent, yeah. Very, very good. And just notice for a moment after you did that, how does your pelvis feel? Then we're gonna do a movement, a very simple movement that's often done in pelvic floor exercises, but mostly with the focus on muscles, is we're going to rotate our pelvis or tilt our pelvis front and back, which is going to involve the lumbar spine extending and flexing. So basically, you're going to be moving your pelvis front and back like that, but we're going to be thinking of the ligaments. We're going to be focusing on the ligaments back here and imagining them dealing with the forces coming from the spine into the pelvis. And so this transition point between the lumbar spine and the pelvis is key for dealing with forces. And if you're not doing that well, that's often when you're going to have issues here in the posterior pelvis. So you're going to take your hands and you're going to put them on the back of the pelvis in the middle, and that's where the sacrum is. And just going to rub your fingers up and down like that. And imagine those ligaments being very strong, balanced and stretchy, and transferring forces from the spine to the pelvis and back and forth. So you put your hands on the back of the pelvis, the center of the back of the pelvis, you can feel a bone. So if you feel muscles up here, you're probably too high. And then you're just going to rub up and down as you anteriorly and posteriorly rotate the pelvis. which will engage the pelvic floor muscles. But for once, we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on the ligaments. So we're rubbing up and down and imagining that the ligaments on both sides are working equally, balancing the ligaments. Very good. Excellent. Wonderful. Good. And then let's rest, and then we'll do one last thing. We're going to put our hands on the side of the pelvis, and we're going to circle our pelvis around like that in the other direction, and just imagine the pelvis being very resilient and reacting to this movement by slightly changing its shape in a very elastic manner. So the movement is simply like this, like that. And I would recommend maybe pushing in a little bit when you're at the front and letting go when you're at the back. So I'm pushing in, letting go, push, let go, push, let go. It's going the other direction. You might even feel the abdominal muscles contracting a little bit when you go to the front and you're pushing inward. That's a good sign. And we're breathing. Let's go in the other direction. So I'm push, let go, push, let go. Very good. And one more time in this direction. Push, let go, push, let go, push, and let go. Then let's notice our posture. Notice our pelvic posture. Maybe feel more dropped and length in the back, more lifted in the pelvis and the pelvic floor. And so some brand new embodiments for you. These are super important based on recent evidence around the functioning of a healthy pelvis. So do think of the bones, not just the joints, having some give and some mobility. And if you want to know more and experience many more fabulous exercises to improve the health of your pelvis, then I'm having a webinar on the 12th of November all about the pelvis. So please join me then. We're going to learn a lot, have a lot of fun, and feel great in our pelvic floor and our whole lower back. So see you then, and have a wonderful day.